Hello, everyone, and welcome to, Guildmaster Gaming. God, I even forgot who I was after trying to get all these notes together. Today,
It
we are
happens.
talking with some cast and crew of the film Good Molly, which was shown down at FilmQuest, which is
Sweet
a
Molly.
great, Sweet Molly.
Sweet
Oh,
Molly.
my goodness.
You
I
want to
have
just
it
start
written
over?
down correctly here.
You want to start again?
No, we're just going to go for it. That's kind of the fun of it. So it's Sweet Molly with some of the cast and crew here, and thank you, Thomas, for to fixing me there. So we're going to start off by first having everybody introduce themselves, and we'll start with Ryan, who is sharing the screen with Jennifer, and then down to Thomas, and we'll end up with Rebecca, who is going to give us a brief, introduction to what Sweet Molly is about. So go ahead, Ryan.
Sure. So my name is Ryan Atkins. I am one of the producers of Sweet Molly and very proud of that position.
I am Jennifer A. Goodman. I played Mother, and I was also a producer and the UPM with another guy named Mario.
I am Thomas Crawford, and I play the prophet in Sweet Molly.
And I'm Rebekah Kennedy, and I was a producer and also played Molly in Sweet Molly. And just to give a little bit of a background for people who don't know, Sweet Molly is about Molly, like I said, who I play, who was born and raised in the fundamentalist church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the FLDS cult, who makes a chilling discovery through her ability to astral project, leading to a life-altering event. So that's a good synopsis without giving anything spoilery away.
So we kind of got the basics there. So I'll throw this out there, and I think always kind of decide well, Rebecca probably has the best since JC, who is the writer and director of the film, was unable to join us at this time. If he gets a chance and logs in, we'll jump right in with him also. But tell us what was, I mean, it's pretty clear what the initial inspiration of this is about just by the introduction of what it is.
Yeah.
But what is some of the backstory of why to tackle this type of topic in a film?
Yeah, so I will do my best to answer for him, but not speak for him, because I'm sure he has a probably much better answer than me. But JC was born and raised in the Mormon religion himself, and after self-discovery, left the religion. And of course, this is not about the LDS. This is not about the religion in general, but more about the FLDS, who still some sectors of the cult still practice polygamy and child brides in particular. So this was really important to him and personal to him to tell this story about what is happening, because many people don't know that it's happening still to this day.
Right.
And think that this is something that maybe happened a long time ago, but don't even realize it's still happening. So making this film was really special, I think, to all of us in communicating what's happening, and to the survivors, and to make people aware of what is still going on now.
So this is, I mean, for me, I live here in Utah, and I think everybody else here does too. I will say I saw this at FilmQuest, and what was really interesting is the break after the block that this showed in. I went over to a local grocery store to get some food so I could have something, and there was a fundamentalist family going through at the time.
Wow.
I thought,
Wow.
now that was just the timing was just
Right.
really
Perfect.
Yeah.
but
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm wondering, were any of you involved with the research? Because I know when I talked to JC at FilmQuest, there was a lot of research that went into this film to get it right.
I
Were
know
any
I
of
can.
you involved with and what that
Oh,
entailed?
go ahead.
I'll speak on what I know, and what I was told. He kind of gave us homework to watch I think it's a Netflix documentary. I can't remember the title of it, but it gave a lot of
Keep
eye-opening.
sweet.
Yeah, I think it's stay sweet, pray, and obey.
keep
Yes, and that
Keep sweet.
keep sweet. Yeah.
it felt like a very twisted movie, shall I say. But I also know that I think JC also did additional research based, because he didn't experience every single thing that happens in the movie necessarily. He experienced portions of it, but I think he wanted to make sure that he did the film its justice on the other elements with it. So I know, and each director makes sure that he or she fills in those gaps, especially when it's a sensitive topic like this. So, I know I did my research on that documentary just so I can go in a little bit more prepared. I know JC did additional research.
And I can say, as playing the mother, when I went into my audition, I wasn't too familiar with how, the community works. And it was really interesting, even in my audition, when I was getting redirected by JC, Rebecca was actually reading with me. I was really pushed to do very little, which is the opposite of me, obviously. I'm a much more vibrant individual. And it was really incredible. Once I took the time, so once I was cast, which was an honor in itself, I really wanted to live and breathe Amy. Amy Allen is my character. And so I spent every day for an hour acting as if I'm part of that community and doing things like in the way that I did the laundry, in the way that I would cook meals. I mean, my husband was like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm in a space, and I let him know. But I really wanted to embody that so that when I am on screen, it's a very authentic performance. Working with Rebecca also was incredible in that she's a dream to work with for those who do not know. Not only is she very professional on a performance level, but also personally. There were moments in which I had prayers that I don't normally speak. I'm actually Jewish. So these were very different than what I'm familiar with. And I found myself getting frustrated with myself that I was so rehearsed that when I said some of these lines, I tumbled over it. And one of the things that, was really incredibly encouraging was the support that the team gave each other in this. Because even between takes, it was a quiet set. We brought our assistant director, Josh, out, and it was a working quiet so that we could all stay in the space, in the headspace that we were in. So a lot of research and a lot of support and preparation on set as well.
Okay. Kind of following up with you there, and then I'm going to kick it around to Thomas and Rebecca, is playing these type of roles, what you're telling me, really hit home because of the influence of the community on the family within these. So you've kind of hit on that, Jennifer. Was there anything in particular that really struck you in playing that part of one of the mothers?
Um, yeah, it's interesting with the polygamous community, watching my husband romanticize with the younger woman was really kind of an interesting hit on me. And it made me think, gosh, how these people are so accustomed to this lifestyle and how belittling it really is. And it saddened me a lot to see that and have to experience it. So to only imagine someone living day by day with that and not knowing anything other than that is, it's demoralizing in my opinion. And I think that we need to really get this story told so people know that there is life outside of this and hope.
So Thomas, you played the prophet in the film.
Yes, I did.
And what about you? How did that kind of hit for you to portray this, and how did it hit you? Was it similar
Uh,
to Jennifer's story or?
well, here's the thing. And the interesting thing is when I was on set, everybody's like, oh my God, you're nothing like this guy.
You're like, thank
They're
God.
like, you're
Yeah.
so sweet and so funny. I normally I do not get this part. And the interesting thing is, Rebecca and I started in class. We were doing a online class with Greg Binkley, and we got to know each other. And then I saw that she was casting this project, and I got the email or the C-mail, as we call it, from my agent. And normally, you know, we tend to pass on projects based on the pay or whatever. But I'm like, I don't play this. I don't get to play this part. So it was difficult for me. However, I will say, once I got the part, JC told me, he goes, watch the documentary on Netflix. And again, I think it's Stay Sweet, Pray and Obey. If I hope I'm not butcherizing that. But once I watched that and you get to the fourth, it's only 4 episodes, I'm like, oh my God, what these so-called prophets are doing is horrific. And one of the luxuries that Rebekah and I had before filming, once I got the part, she lives 20 minutes away from me. And we were able to rehearse the scene, the big scene, so that we knew when we showed up on set, we were ready to go. Because again, I don't think I'm Ryan, Jennifer, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. When you have a short film and you have a somewhat low budget, man, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
And so Rebekah and I really took the time to sit down and rehearse the scene so that when we showed up on set, we knew what we were doing. And I will say we had a intimacy consultant on set, and I'm going to give props to Rebekah. I don't want to give anything away, but there is a moment, and she goes, "Tom, I know this is not you. This is you know, this is your character," because it was really hard at moments. So what attracted me, I, I'm kind of going off book here, or off subject, but when JC contacted me and he told me his story, I'm like, I'm in. I'm all in.
Tom, I do want to say that I think it speaks to both of your acting abilities to go completely off of what your personalities normally portray. I think if any human were to meet both of you in person, they'd be quite surprised. But yeah, I think it was definitely a benefit that you guys live so close because we didn't waste any unnecessary time making sure that everyone was more rehearsed than what they already came in to be. So you guys did a rock star with your roles, and you played the characters justice to what the story needed to say.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that.
And how about for
And
you, Rebekah?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I met JC at Film Quest in 2021 when I was there for another film. And we connected, as as you do at the festival, you've been there, and we stayed in touch. And he contacted me and was like, I have this script, I'm trying to do this film, will you check it out and see if you're interested? And I read it, and I was really moved by the script, by him, his story, what it was about. Obviously, it was really important, and something that needed to be told. And I don't think it's been told in this way, but also has a really interesting sci-fi and horror element, which I think is appealing to people that may or may not be interested in this kind of film. Maybe would be like see a drama and be like, oh, I don't really care about that. But this element was beautifully woven in. And like Tom and Jennifer and Ryan mentioned, the documentary was really really hard to watch. And that was kind of all of it kind of sealed for me, like, oh yeah, I have to be a part of this story. I have to help get this film made if I can. And I just wanted to do it justice, the role of the film to the people that might see it, that might understand or know someone in that that's living that or has lived it, or is, I know how important that is. So that's kind of how I got involved and why I got involved, and really proud of the film. Really think it turned out beautifully. Everybody here and then people that aren't here just worked their asses off, and it really shows, I think.
And if I may jump in, one thing about JC that is so incredible is, he always made himself available to us if we had questions. Which I think is absolutely incredible of a director, he and a writer, but If I shot him a text, was like, hey, I have a question of why my character would say this, or I think that this might be a little bit adjusted, because he was always open, to, okay, okay. Well, I think this makes more sense because A, B, C, and D. And he would really take the time to educate, to help us understand and work with us. So that's another thing that made this such a really wonderful piece to be a part of.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll plug something for JC right now because I do know that this script was submitted a couple, I can't remember if it was last year but in prior festivals. And it was selected, and I don't remember what award it won, but it did place for unproduced short screenplay.
Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
and you could see it in the production here that it's a very tight script. It's a very well produced and written film. So we've got it now as a short. So I guess this is kind of going out to more of the producer levels here. Since we got a short film that is doing so well, is there any thought of making it into a full feature?
He has a
As always, right?
he has other projects that have similar tones that he's working on, wanting to create.
But you never know. You never know.
Never know.
I think there's more to be told for this film. So we'll see. But I'm glad that we just got to make it, no matter what happens in the future. Everybody here, interestingly enough, like none of us are actually from Utah. Tom and I live in LA, and Jennifer and Ryan live in Chicago. And so all of us coming together to make this film felt like, I don't know, kismet, I guess. And then kind of a miracle to make any film happen. Make a good film is even harder. And especially when you're coming from all different walks of life and parts of the country. And we had a table read, but we didn't get months of rehearsal or weeks or even days. We didn't really get to rehearse at all. And Tom and I.
If I can jump in,
Yeah.
the rehearsals that Rebekah and I had with JC were done via Zoom.
Yeah.
And then the rehearsals that Rebekah and I had, fortunately, we were able to do our scenes prior to coming in. And again, here's my thing that I've learned in 30 years of being in film. You have a night shoot, you are on the clock, man. You are fighting the
The
sun.
sunrise.
Yeah.
And we were able to, especially that pivotal scene, we were able to knock it out. And it was not to mention this, certain things. Again, I don't want to give away too much,
Yeah.
but there were things that we, outside of just shooting it, that we had to stop and then walk away from it. What we were able to accomplish in that short time with the short film is just amazing to me.
And talking about chasing the sun or, trying to get done before the sun, the one scene, it looked like, I guess you could say you had a storm that was chasing it because it was a great background shot of the lightning at a very pivotal moment. That we'll just kind of throw out there for people to watch for. That was
Yeah.
Well,
Do you want to tell them?
That's JC's favorite moment because it was a happy accident. Our AD was like, guys, we've got a storm. We're 8 miles out. We need to stop. And JC's like, we got one more. Is everyone okay? One more, and then that moment was so incredibly like perfect that we were like, all right,
If I
that's
can
it.
I have to say, I thought it was CGI. I thought it was put in, and JC goes, "No, that was real.
No,
That
Tom,
was,
it would have been a great moment for a visual effect. It would have
yeah.
been, but thankfully it just happened.
Yeah.
Talk about happy accidents. Yeah,
Well, that's actually, I want to take the second to like shout out our production team and hair and makeup, and because most of it was
absolutely.
practical. Like my astral projection was a tube sewn into the back of my hair with our lovely, lovely hair and makeup. Putting the tube through the bed as I come up, and then they took the tube away in post. But so much of the film was done practically, including me stabbing. Sorry to give it away, but really quick. But so which is a huge testament to them because that stuff is so difficult to do in a short amount of time with not a lot of money. So they just knocked
Absolutely.
that apart.
Absolutely. The crew, as an actor, I just have to say the crew was so incredibly professional from, I mean, on down to craft services, on down to makeup, hair, everything. The fact that you guys, kudos to Jennifer and Ryan for putting that crew together. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work when you're not from the area too. Interviews,
Yeah.
people aren't used to that. But we also had help. Shout out to Mario DeAngelis, who was also critical in helping me gather the troops and, set up my interviews for me and help me, get that organized. But yeah, it was an incredible team. In fact, shout out to wardrobe because,
Yeah.
in fact, we this was like crazy. I've never seen anything like this. So one of the girls who sewed came from the community itself, and she knew everything of what the costuming would be authentically. And I'm in Chicago. Rebecca's in LA. We didn't have budget to fly anybody in for fittings. So we had to measure ourselves and send in our measurements, and then we show up and there's dresses for us. And I gotta tell you,
handmade dresses.
mine fit perfectly.
Yeah.
I was like, shout out to I think her last name is anyways, they were incredible. And they're beautiful. And
Yeah.
I know Rebecca's looked spectacular, and Kelsey's, and of course, so all of us had costumes that were already made.
Yeah, fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you guys made Film Quest. So
Yes.
whereabouts are you in your film festival run? Is this like the beginning of it? Are you midway, kind of
Yes,
closing
I
off?
think we are less than a quarter of the way through. I think we're probably like an eighth, maybe even a 16th, based on all the festivals that I heard that
We're
hear
waiting
about.
on.
So the DP and director, they're good buds, and they spent a lot of money on submission fees for a lot of festivals. So I think we're probably like an eighth or maybe 16th of the way through on this, and I think the film deserves definitely that trajectory.
And I will also add that I'm going to share that the team also won this at the SimiFest, which is a huge honor. So congratulations to the team as well, and the DP received one as well. So more hopefully honors coming soon for the incredible team.
Is there
I'm
any?
actually, I was going to say, I actually may have to cut out early. We are nominated for something at the Culver City Film Festival. So I'm going to go down and represent for the team, and hopefully we'll pick up something there as well.
Okay, if you need to go, that I totally
Oh,
understand.
no. I'm good right now. I'm totally good.
Okay, so is there any festivals for Sweet Molly that you can tell us that you've already gotten confirmation to attend? I know some of them are still, a lot of them are still in flux right now. So,
Uh, yeah, I guess. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we got into the Utah Film Festival, which has been announced. So that one's I don't know
Yeah.
when that. I guess it's in January, I believe, right?
I think so.
January
It's the
3rd through 7th
first
or
week of
something.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, that's the next one we know about. Not sure beyond that yet.
Yeah, they usually use that as a precursor to that other big name festival that takes place here.
Sundance.
Which we did not get into, but we got a really lovely personal email back, which was, huge for how many submissions they get. So
Okay, so we know that one and we'll keep an eye. So if somebody wants to see this in the theater at a festival, where can they follow and get information on the socials?
You can follow actually Sweet Molly Film. There's a Instagram for that, and then Lakefront Pictures, which is our production company. We are always posting any awards, any festivals that we get into, updates on the cast, crew, and all of that jazz. So if you follow, you can see information there.
Okay, so let me ask this of each of you there. I always like to ask this because people are saying, okay, I really like seeing this. What else is coming up that I can see you working in or on? So, Thomas, I'm going to throw it down to you first. What what can we see coming up in your future?
Well, that's the interesting thing about being an actor. It's my favorite response is, "Oh, what have I seen you in recently?" And I always say, "A deep state of depression." Um, You
The
know,
popular show on ABC.
yeah, you'll see me on nothing really upcoming, but we are constantly, I think Rebecca and Jennifer, as an actor, can attest to, we are constantly hustling because of the pandemic. Self tapes have become, for those of you who don't know what a self tape is, basically it's like setting up a film production in your bedroom so that and you put your film your tape on an iPhone and you send it off to the casting director. So I really don't I have a lot of stuff that you can see past in past feature films and stuff like that. Um, I know that Jennifer and Ryan and I, when they came out for Culver City, that I would love to work with them again, and I know I'm going to work with Rebecca and hopefully JC again. But mostly, you're going to be seeing me on. Hopefully, I have a recurring character on Bel Air, the reboot of Will Smith's. It's a much more dramatic piece, and I play the principal of the high school where he attends. So hopefully they're going to bring me back for the last and final season in season 4.
Fingers crossed.
And what is your film that you're going to go accept an award for?
I'm sorry,
And what film are you going to go accept an award for?
for hopefully for Sweet Molly.
Oh, that's playing there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I
uh,
misunderstood
Another
that.
short film of ours
yeah,
is there as well.
All right.
yeah, and they have a film Reckless, which is at the film festival, and the award ceremony is tonight. So I'm gonna try and head over. So
All right. And how about for you, Ryan and Jennifer? What do you guys got coming up as producers or actors?
So we have a Christmas movie. Right now it's slated for Hallmark, but we have some interest from other networks. But we have a Christmas movie that we are going to be making in the next 90 days. We are fingers crossed. We just finished, as Thomas mentioned, our film Reckless, which is in the festival circuit now. And then we just have more, hopefully, acceptances for The Unseen, which is the feature film that Rebekah starred in as well. So with RJ Mitty. So that's what's on our docket. For me personally, I have the same thing. I have a lot of things that I did in the past. I've just had some auditions. Funny enough, I had an audition for Dexter or Origin and Original Sin, and I watched the episode that I auditioned for last night. So I'm excited to hopefully see more opportunities in the near future for auditions.
For me, I am constantly pitched on scripts that folks want me to be a part of, and so reviewing them, I'm going to a little bit of prep for a Christmas film actually. A lot of the aesthetic that we want to have in there and just how to achieve certain things, but yeah, I'm never closing the door on a good short.
Oh yeah, we have
But
those two that have come up.
yeah, just kind of getting geared up for the Christmas film. As straightforward as it might seem, every film has its challenges to get over because it's always an original. Something's going to be, unique in some way in those types of stories, and so that'll be coming up soon. But definitely attending the festivals that are, that Reckless does get into. They're advantageous to attend, and then also for Sweet Molly, and then our other projects that are coming up too. So keeping busy.
We actually met a few folks at Film Quest and some of the other festivals that we've been talking about projects they're doing that they want our involvement in. So we're working on those as well.
And Rebecca, how about you?
I was just gonna say, Film Quest is such a great festival to go to meet people and network. Yeah, so like they mentioned, I'm in the Unseen that you can see on various platforms online. I have a couple other films that are just came out recently. One is Crust with Sean Whalen that Tom knows is a good friend of Tom's as well. That's how I met Tom, was through the class, like you said. Another, it's out on Amazon. Another movie called The Veil that you can see on Amazon and Tubi. I have a couple episodes of The Lincoln Lawyer that's out now, season 3.
Yeah.
I have a film coming up that I can't announce yet. It hasn't been announced, so I can't say anything yet, but filming in the next couple months, and some other projects that are in the works too that hopefully I can announce soon. So, always looking for more work, as all of us here are doing all the
It's a
time.
hustle.
Yeah, always the hustle. So, yeah.
All right. So a lot of different projects people can be looking forward to see the furthering of your talents. It's really great to see that. So real quickly then, kind of flipping it all around, what is it that got you wanting to be in film, to join the industry? So we'll kind of go the opposite direction this time. How about we'll start off with you, Rebekah?
Oh gosh. I've wanted to be an actor since I was a kid. I had a very early interest around age 4 when I saw my first play, and I started doing theater at 12, and I did that all through middle school and high school, and majored in musical theater, and was fully prepared to move to New York and do that game. And after college, I moved back to Texas to kind of get my bearings and earn some money and figure out what I was going to do. And of course, I met my then husband now back then. And I'm still doing theater to, make money. And someone just mentioned to me, have you thought about doing film and TV? And I was like, I have an interest in it, but I was in Texas and I was like, I don't really know how to get involved. Like, how does this work? And he graciously, referred me to an agent and kind of helped me figure out the ropes. And I started, like, most people start doing short films and student films and making, working for no money or very little money. And then eventually, moved to LA. And it's funny, like, growing up, I didn't have a desire necessarily to do film and TV, but I have felt the most home here. I love theater. I would love to go back and do it if it ever arose, opportunity came about. But I realized in college how much I love the acting part more than anything else. And so this is, and I love playing like kind of weird, quirky, unique, crazy characters. And this industry has given me the most opportunity to explore that and to figure out what my place and just had a really fun time playing all these kind of different characters.
Thanks.
Jenny?
Yeah, so similar. I had a cousin who was a dance queen and always loved performance as we were kids. And I always wanted to be a part of the performances. And so I got involved in theater really young. I started singing professionally. My family discovered I had a voice at 5 or 6 years old. And I began auditioning for musicals. I was in Broadway plays. I was in traveling troupes. I did stuff at Lincolnshire Theater. So I loved stage. That was where my heart was, and I felt at home. And all through middle school and high school, being in The Sound of Music and The Princess and the Pea and, Fiddler on the Roof. And so it just brought so much joy, working with the cast and the crew. But, you have tech weeks. You're there till like 11 at night. It's a lot. You're 10 years old and your parents are like getting you at 10 at night. So, it was something I really enjoyed. I went to school in Ohio, and I went to college and studied English and a minor in psychology, and my heart just kept going back to theater. And so I became a theater major and I minored in psychology, and I learned a lot about the history and, more focus on Shakespeare. And I started to kind of feel like, yeah, I enjoy it, but I really, TV was just something I was very drawn to. I had a lot of shows I was a big fan of. So in college, growing up, I always made shows I was a big fan of Now and Then. So I'd always, get my friends together to be in some type of project that I wrote a script. I read my script now and I'm like, wow, okay, we're definitely not writers then. Very poetic, but so I actually got to know some folks in college, and they were doing a film, and I got cast in that. It was called Commencement, and it was a dream. absolute dream working on that. And from that point forward, I said, I want to do film and TV. I came home, similar to what Rebecca was saying. She went back to Texas. I went back to Chicago, worked for a bit, and did some headshots and just hoped for the best and did some background work. And that's actually how I met my husband. I was a featured extra on The Breakup with his brother. And so I met my husband through that, and it was kind of kismet. And I continued to pursue my interest in that. And it wasn't until 2016 when this guy had a post on social media, and I didn't even know who he was, looking for a badass female to play this detective and interrogate this male suspect. And I'm like, this is like Mariska Hargitay style. This is Blacklist. I'm in. So I auditioned, got cast as the lead in the project. He did, and offered to expand the script, and basically self-taught myself writing, producing, and I failed a lot. Let me tell you, it was a learning experience. It's like 4 years of film school, but I loved every second of it, and I would do it over again in a heartbeat. And that's how we met Josh. And then we just started pursuing more work and projects, and here we are. I know it's a long story.
It's a long journey.
Um, so being the third person, it's allowing me to really paraphrase the story in my head. So I appreciate being number three because for me, in some cases it was by accident. In other cases, it was kind of destiny. So I'll give the two in a very paraphrased way. I was going to major in music education when I was entering college. Never worked out, and then I found myself just deciding on TV production as I knew I needed to go to college. That was what I needed to do at the time. And many years prior to that, as a little kid, I would always reenact the movies I was seeing, whether it be Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, or Jurassic Park. Mom and Dad feel that I saw it at a fine age, but I feel I saw both Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park at too young of an age. Had nightmares from both of them, but those emotional responses stuck with me. And I remember seeing behind the scenes on those movies and just being just flabbergasted. Like, how in the world are these dinosaurs not real? Like this, like how I couldn't live with myself for that moment. And I think those emotional responses were triggered or reignited when I found myself doing TV production because then I wanted to reenact. How do I make my own TV? How do I make my own films that I'm getting involved with the extracurricular within college? And so I was never doing any acting as a kid. I would always just reenact on my own. But I think those interests were reignited and it gave me the whole world is my oyster kind of thing. We got to use these cameras. I'm like, well, I can actually do what I saw on screen. And so for me, I always had a hobby in computers, so it's kind of a combination of wanting to entertain. I always played in the marching band, entertaining for the halftime show for the football team. So combination of those things, found myself doing just shooting, editing, and yeah, fast forward, met Jenny in 2016, trying to make a scene for my own demo reel. And
I thought
that
it was a short
turned
film.
into a short film, and now it's a TV pilot. We made a feature and all this other good stuff. And so don't close the door on opportunity, folks. That's all I wanted to say for that one. So
And Thomas.
So I I
It's
took
hard.
an acting I took an acting for non-majors class in college, with no intention of becoming an actor whatsoever. And I remember the teacher at the time writing on a scene evaluation and said, "Have you ever thought about doing this? Because you're very good." And I went, "Oh, hell no. I want to make money. I want to go into corporate." And I worked for a public relations and advertising agency for 2 years. And in 1986, I came out to watch Henry Winkler's improv group called Off the Wall. I was miserable at my job. I hated what I was doing. And I went, this is what I want to do. And I came back and I told my parents, who were very traditional, 9 to 5ers. My mom was a housewife, and God bless her. Um, and she said, take a couple of classes, do a couple of local theater, and then there was a notice for an audition for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in 1987, and I got accepted,
Wow.
and I never looked back. I knew this was what I wanted to do. I had it in my heart when I was a kid. I loved, never did plays. That's what's funny. Everybody from high school, well, were you ever? I'm like, no, I never did. And it was, here's the thing, and I think Rebekah and Jennifer, as an actor, can attest to this, that anytime I have somebody who comes out and asks me, hey, can you meet with my daughter or my son? They want to be an actor. And I always say the same thing. My question is, why do you want to be an actor? And if they go, because it's fun, I love being on stage. And I go, okay, you want to be on stage? Go to New York. If you think it's fun, it's not. It is a hustle. You are constantly grinding. And if you think you are going to get the brass ring, you have a better chance of winning the lottery. And there's only
Yeah.
been one person that I have ever spoken to who said the right answer. I go, why do you want to be an actor? And he paused and he almost got teary eyed and he goes, I can't see doing anything else. That's the right answer. We do this. We don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't do it for the fame. We do it because it's a calling. It's like teaching. There's not a teacher out there that goes, oh, you know what? I'm going to make a lot of money being a teacher. We do
That's
it.
true.
We do it because it's in our heart and in our soul.
Yeah.
And that's, and one thing led to another. And everybody who's ever asked me, I go, look, here, I'm blessed. I'm sure Rebekah, Jennifer, you're blessed. There are a lot of talented actors out there that are not working.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I work more than some, but not as much as others. And I'm okay with that. Because if you get that one job, sweet Molly, that feeds the soul, that's it. That's all you need.
So that kind of takes me right into like probably our final question here as we kind of wrap things up, and that is if someone comes to you, and Thomas, you've kind of answered this already. If someone comes to you and say, I want to be in the film industry, what advice would you give them? So following up, Thomas, you found someone that's like, yeah, it's their passion. What would you tell them to get going for it? What to do?
I would tell them to follow their heart, to not be disappointed, to create the project. I will say now versus 20, I've been in this business professionally since 94 because of iPhones and because of how technology has allowed you to create your own project. Then my thing is to say to them, don't wait for somebody to find you. You create it and let them find you. Put it out there so that they see you versus waiting for them to call upon you. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It goes to what I have. Yep.
Create your own project. And there's so many venues out there that you can do that. But at the same time, make quality stuff. Do not just do it just to be seen on film.
Right.
Do very quality, make sure it's a good project.
Jenny?
Do you want to go?
Oh, sure, I'll go. Um, similar to Tom, yeah, it is a grind. It is such a grind. When I speak to our interns, beyond the whole making stuff that can be sellable and marketable, finding yourself as an artist is the biggest thing. And so for me, I primarily I'm a cinematographer. I just had a good opportunity to help produce Sweet Molly, but for me, it's putting that canvas on the screen and what can we do with that image? How can we make it look unique to what I would do? And there's something about putting media out of order into an order that makes sense, and then the audience has some kind of response to it. I found it to be my calling, and I think my advice to those that want to start shooting or just even in the film industry, just just get to work, start shooting, shoot really bad stuff and hate it for, that day. Know why it's terrible and do it better the next time. And that's the thing. You're only as good as your last project. You really are. That's really the only thing that people can judge you by. And we are judged. We're judged all the time. People are going to the theaters. This is terrible. That was great. That was just meh. It's all over the map. But my advice is just to keep shooting, keep making movies. But the idea is that your next project gets even better. And that also comes where we're our own worst critic. We really are. Our last project has something wrong with it. Mine did. Everyone else's projects did. Even Jurassic Park has things wrong with it, believe it or not. Um, but you're not going to be satisfied until you keep on creating. And I think Clint Eastwood's a good example of that. He just won't stop either. But that's my advice to those that want to be a cinematographer. Just keep shooting. And eventually someone's going to like your work and you're going to find your niche, your path. In film in general, just keep making great projects. So
I would say for me, there's two things. On an actor's side, I would say it's be willing to fail and get back up again. This is an industry where you are not always going to get the part. You're not always going to be the lead. You may audition 100 times before you get your first job. And it's not as simple as Rebekah got the audition and just landed the role at Lincoln Lawyer. I mean, she worked very hard and had what, thousands of auditions that you didn't get cast in? Same thing for me, Tom. I mean, you don't just wake up and become an actor. I mean, sure, are there actors out there that have? Yes, but the majority of the understanding is it's like the Chumbawamba song. I get knocked down again and I get up again. You have to be willing to get knocked down. And you have to take it with a grain of salt and say, you know what? Okay, they wanted a blonde-haired girl. Fine, right? There's so many reasons you don't get cast. It may have nothing to do with your talent. So recognize that on an actor's side. On a producing level, I would say that my superpower as someone on the autism spectrum is to get back up again and try. But as a producer, I worked in sales for 18 years and learned how to ask for what I need, how to find ways to get what I need, how to raise money, how to negotiate locations, contracts, all of that stuff. You've got to learn the business. And my best advice to somebody who wants to be an actor, who wants to work in this industry is learn the business side. Because an investor doesn't care that a movie is great. That doesn't mean anything to him. He wants to know the ROI. And so you really have to learn. And as a producer, you need to understand what your crew does. I can't begin to tell you, I fell on my face when I hired sound folks and Conrad. I'm like, oh, they can get the same rate as this Absolutely not. Learn what it takes to be in the roles that they are, because as an actor, you have so much more respect for the crew if you understand what they do and the crew feels valued. And you want them to feel valued because you want to feel like you're part of a team. You're not better than, they're not better than. There's a no jerk policy. And if you learn that in an early phase in your career, you will go very far. And that would be my advice.
Everyone has really great advice here, so I will try not to repeat anything anyone else said. But just to piggyback off as an actor, I would say get in class. That's so important. I love the Steve Martin quote where he says, everyone asks, how do I get an agent? How do I get auditions? But no one asks, how do I get good? And that at the end of the day is the most important thing, because, that is what will give you longevity, is being a really good actor. And I do believe that, eventually cream does rise, even if it's not in the way that we had hoped or thought or imagined at the beginning of our career. I feel like if you are really, really good and you just keep going, things will happen. Even if you're not a star, something will happen. And like they said, patience, everything takes time. It takes time to get an agent. It takes time to get auditions. It takes time to book. Everything about this industry takes time. And so many actors actors don't give it enough time. They want things to happen now. They put themselves on deadlines. If I'm not famous in 2 years, I'm out, or 5 years, or whatever it is. And that's just not realistic. Because you don't know the next audition could change everything. And that's an old manager of mine gave me that advice. And I keep remembering that, because he's like, you don't know what tomorrow will bring. So just keep going, keep trekking, keep on climbing, because that next audition could change everything, or it could change a little bit, or whatever it is. If you book it, you've moved the needle some. So those are kind of some of my things. And just, stay as positive as you can, stay encouraged, find things that encourage you, whether it be reading, watching movies, TV, whatever it is, being creative in any way you can. Me and Tom and Jennifer and Ryan already touched on making your own content. I wasn't in the industry like Tom was 30 years ago, but I know how much it's changed, and I don't believe anymore you can just be an actor. It's really difficult to just be an actor nowadays and wait for someone else to give you a job. You really have to be proactive and making your own work, whatever that looks like. I have a good friend who put, videos on Instagram, funny videos that she's really funny, and they had no production quality. They were just her doing little skits, and she just signed with CAA and is doing incredible. So you never know, you put yourself out there and you never know what will come back. So those are some of the things I would say.
Kind of reminds me of the saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Can
So,
I add,
hey,
can I add one more? Can I
Yes.
add one more thing?
Yes.
To those actors, when you do show up on set, when you get done with your wardrobe, hang it up and watch how much respect you get from the people on set when you hang up and to what Jennifer said, be nice. Be nice to everybody. You're going to go so much farther.
And learn names. You get a call sheet the
Yeah.
day before, learn
The people
names,
behind,
study
yep.
them, like obviously you're not going to remember everybody's name the first day, but the few people, like I try to at least know the DP, the hair and makeup, wardrobe,
Absolutely.
the first AD, the people that you will interact with the first day for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Well, we've been talking here for about an hour, so I want to thank you guys. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been some of the cast and crew of Sweet Molly, a short film about fundamentalists, LDS, very powerful movie that I agree with, like what JC was saying. It's something that everybody should kind of learn and understand, because they're not the only group out there that is doing these sort of things around the country and around the world. So it's very inspirational, very thought-provoking, and can start a lot of conversations. So you can find it at upcoming film festivals. And I am sure that with the way this film looks, that it's probably going to be picked up on some platform someplace later on. So thank you, Rebekah, Jennifer, Ryan, Thomas. I'll just throw it out for one final thing. Any final comments anybody has that they would like to throw out?
Anyone else? Anyone? I'll go if anyone, but I want to make sure anyone else gets
Go for it.
no, I just want to say really quickly, since JC isn't here, I can speak for all of us. I know how lucky and grateful we feel to be a part of this film, and working with all of these actors, Thomas and Jennifer and Kelsey and Izzy, who aren't here today, was a real pleasure. And, getting to work anytime, it feels like, I don't know, so special, but getting to work on a
Can I mention Nick Matthews
yes,
too?
Nick, too.
Yeah.
Yes,
God
Nick
almighty,
my
he was
father.
great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My husband.
Do not mean to leave anyone out. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Working on this film was especially special because of the subject matter, but the people, the actors and the crew were so wonderful, and I feel so privileged to get to be a part of this film and have worked with such extraordinary talent.
Amen.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining me on this session with Guildmaster Gaming, talking with some of this cast and crew. Everybody take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.